I want to go ahead and start the webinar so we give Thomas as much time as possible this morning. I'm going to apologize in advance. You may hear the lawnmower going outside that, of course, just started as we're getting ready to kick off the webinar. So perfect timing. My name is Tammy Wallace. I am the co-founder and board chair for the Greater Houston LGBT Chamber of Commerce. To our members, we're glad to have you here this morning. If you're one of our guests today, thank you for joining us. We love having you, whether we're in person or now in this new online environment. So very, very glad to have you joining us this morning. I want to say a huge thank you to EconomiWorks for sponsoring the webinar this morning. I think this is going to be incredibly great information, timely. And all the webinars that we've been doing at this point, we've just gotten a tremendous amount of great feedback. So we'll continue those. If you do have ideas for webinars that you'd like to see, please let me know or email us at the chamber office at info@houstonlgbtchamber.com. Of course, with the current crisis with COVID, this has completely changed our business as usual, moving to online format, but also trying to respond as a chamber. So I do want to highlight a couple of things. One, we have our resource page up with some great information on our website at houstonlgbtchamber.com. We also have information about our Chamber Cares program, where you can help sponsor healthcare workers, get food to healthcare workers and first responders, and support our members on the process. So just a couple of quick announcements about some upcoming events. We have our Chamber Connect this afternoon, which is going to be at 4:30. So if you haven't registered, and Maureen will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that registration is still open, but we're getting ready to close that down. That is going to be virtual networking. Same thing next week, April 23rd, Thursday, 4:30. We're going to do virtual networking. Bring your favorite drink, come network, connect. And on April 30th, this would have been our Biz Connect mixer. So we're going to convert that to a virtual environment as well, more networking. And then we'll continue that every Thursday at 4:30 with our Bring Up Business will be on May 13th. And then again, our virtual Biz Connect mixer on May 26th. We do have some other webinars on the works. So what I would say is keep an eye out for our events calendar. If you're on our email list, you should be getting that information. We'll be pushing that out. And of course, more timely topics coming up. Little housekeeping. We're going to do some Q&A at the end. I know Thomas is going to do some breakout sessions as well, but we will have Q&A. If you have any specific questions, please put that in the chat box. We'll be monitoring that for Thomas as he's presenting. And then also we'll be recording this presentation, and both the recording and the presentation will be sent after the webinar. So with that said, let me turn it, I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, and let me introduce Thomas. I think many of you know him. He has actually held a webinar for us and done a great presentation for us in the past at one of our lunch and learns. But Thomas is the founder of EconomiWorks and has over 15 years of experience promoting talent strategies that allow companies to attract, retain, and develop their most valuable resources, their people. With EconomiWorks, Thomas aims to connect business leaders and people with opportunities that will help them meet their goals. In a busy world with too much to do and too little resources to get it all done, Thomas hopes to have EconomiWorks help bring order to chaos for those business leaders who need additional resources by connecting them with freelance talent who are ready to step in and help an organization meet their goals. With that, Thomas, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tammy. Good morning to everybody. I welcome the opportunity to present today. As I said last week during ideally these are under better circumstances. Here we are in this current situation that we find ourselves in. I think the topic, as it came up from the chamber members about communicating with employees and other stakeholders, is timely. Some good news, bad news about the topic. I mean, again, the circumstances in which we're talking about, the crisis we're in is unfortunate. But the good news is that these principles apply, not just now, but also beyond when we get past this and back to normal, whatever that is. So again, thankful for the opportunity to be with you guys. And yes, as we go along, feel free to ask questions in the chat. I find it's more engaging when we're all talking together, which is what we'll do at the end. But yeah, definitely more engaging when you guys are asking questions. All right. So what I want to do, well, this is first, let's see here. We're going to get this. There we are. Nope, now I've gone too far. All right, so just a little about me. Let's see. I get this. There we go. All right, so a little bit about me. This is the reason I stay home. So one day, again, with my parents and my sister and nephews here, you know, with making sure I take care of my pups, also with my grandmother, and of course, making sure me and my partner stay healthy. You know, been several places around the globe, had the fortunate opportunity to do that, and one day want to be back out there and enjoying the great cultures and foods and people that are around the world. But until we're ready to do that safely, we'll all hold tight. So, but yes, definitely the reason I stay home and work hard now to make sure we can keep moving. About me, I mean, I come, you know, I have a background in HR, so working with business leaders and talking to them about how to communicate effectively with their workforce. But as a founder of my own company, EconomiWorks, I work with business leaders to talk to them about not just working with their employees, but customers and other stakeholders. And so I bring that lens to the discussion, but I also, as a business owner for EconomiWorks and ListenWorks, which is a platform I have to produce podcasts, I definitely feel the crunch of what's going on. EconomiWorks is based on freelance talent, so it's the gig economy, and we're trying. You know, I connect HR people to help them with help small businesses do compliance at businesses. I help small businesses to do marketing with freelance talent. And given the situation we're in, there's definitely a crunch on that front. And so we're not able to connect folks with as many opportunities. On the podcast platform on ListenWorks, we've got 2 podcasts. And really recently, we've been expanding our outreach to businesses in terms of partnering with them for sponsorship opportunities. You know, our focus here has been to work with LGBT-owned businesses to connect them with an audience that's an LGBT audience. So, given folks are having to shutter their doors and limit their spending on marketing, this has been a hit in that space as well. So, I come here also with the putting myself in very much in your shoes in terms of feeling the crunch of the crisis, but. There's a lot of things to factor, and what I really want to do is talk to you guys today about how to communicate with folks. Because while it's easy to panic and to be in a state of crisis, it's important to recognize that there are other people at play that we need to consider, especially as business leaders. And so there's a variety of stakeholders. I want to hit on 3 that I'll talk to in just a bit. But on just a side note, right? I mean, Tammy kind of noted at the beginning that the Chamber office offers a variety of webinars and has put out a lot of information, to which I know I'm personally grateful. I would encourage you guys to attend webinars. I know we're all busy, but to take these opportunities as a moment of pause and to reflect, because especially as business leaders, you may not have that sounding board that you traditionally have when you go into the office. So these are opportunities to connect with business leaders, the business community, to ask questions. And so what I want to do today through the purpose of this discussion is really work with you guys to pause and think about communication and communicating effectively, so that when we're all through this, we've got a strong business partnership with our suppliers, we've got our customers coming back, and we've got our employees ready to get back to work with us. Because without them, we will be in a world of hurt. Of course, we've got to get through this. And so I want to talk about the value of effective communication, some keys to effective communication, and then some tips. And rather than me share the tips, because there's a lot of times where the presenter on a webinar is just talking to the it's a one-way conversation. We do want to utilize the technology, and we'll have some breakout discussions where you guys will talk to each other and kind of share some stories and practices about what's been going on. All right, and then hopefully we'll all walk away with some good tips. Maybe not communication experts, but just some things to think about as we're talking to our stakeholders. Where's my button? There we are. So In terms of stakeholders, there's always a variety of stakeholders. I mean, if you're working for a corporation, chances are your stakeholder, and we've been instilled in business school and whatnot that our stakeholders are our shareholders. Well, the world has been shifting even before this in terms of who really are our stakeholders. Yes, we have an obligation to serve shareholders if those are in part of our business, but really making sure that we are paying attention to our customers, our suppliers, our employees, and our communities. And that's important even more so now, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because they all have a voice that they can loudly express via things like social media and other avenues that they didn't necessarily have before. So it's incumbent upon us to not just think about these stakeholders in particular that are listed here as transactions, but really as relationships that we build and maintain throughout our business life cycle. Why is it important for to maintain our customers? Obviously, they're the ones who basically paying the bills, right? I mean, without customers, we don't have business. But when we're focused on customers, when we're building a business strategy that's focused on customer and their experience, there's we yield a higher return. I know the number there, 5 to 10% higher revenue gains than competitors who are not focused on the customer and their experience. So this is an important time. They can't come to in many instances, can't come to your establishment to do business with you. And so you've got to think about, how you can maintain that customer relationship. Even if you've had to shutter the doors and can't offer any service, how is there a way that you can maintain a dialogue with them going forward so that they know that you're here and are ready to support them once we're past this? The other thing is suppliers. I mean, more and more as we become interconnected and we rely on things like technology, and marketing, those sorts of things, and we have to be a bit more savvy. We have to have a website and have to have a social media presence to really get our brand out there more effectively. We rely on suppliers. We outsource a lot of work. On average, 70% of what we do is typically outsourced, whether that's things like I said, marketing and IT, or it's things like renting out an office space, or the equipment that you have to utilize in your kitchen if you have a restaurant, and how that gets repaired. So that it's important that we maintain those supplier relationships because they're going through this same situation as we are, experiencing disruptions, having to let employees go, having to work remotely. And so they're going through a lot of this as we all are, because in many instances we're suppliers as well. And then, of course, the other group I want to focus on is employees. And the employees, without employees, unless you're a one-person shop, we're not getting anything done. And so it's important that during this crisis, a lot of stuff is going on. That while we need to be direct with our workforce, we also need to be compassionate and make sure that they are engaged, that we're being mindful of their personal situation. And we know that when there is engagement with employees, higher engagement, the higher return we'll have in the long run. All right, so let's talk about our customers. Keeping our customers engaged starts with, first of all, do they know you're open for business? So are you shuttered? Are you offering online services now, new services, different support to customers in this time of need? It's important to let them know that. It's also important to let them know it's new services. Maybe you're a restaurant that's now doing online deliveries. You've got to make sure that those customers know that so that they can keep coming back. I know we're I think a lot of folks have figured that out, over the last few weeks as we've been in this for over a month, at least in terms of the stay-at-home orders. But this is something that, even if you aren't a restaurant or you're a different type of business, it's making sure that they know you're in business and they know that the services you're offering are still valid, or that maybe you're offering new services to support them. And then also just letting them know how they can stay connected with you. Maybe I've seen a couple businesses, they've transitioned to doing things like online tutorials. So while the kitchen is not open, they're offering cooking lessons on YouTube, or they're talking and they're showing themselves in the kitchen, or they're doing daily messages about what they're doing. The yoga studios, exercise studios, you've seen them all offering online services, as well as having their instructors kind of talk about how they're going to experience. So there's ways to do it to stay connected with your employees, or rather your customers, and to do it relatively cheaply. All you need is one of these, your phone, right? So we all have a phone with a camera mostly, right? Unless you've resisted the temptation to engage. I do know I work with one professor at UHD who's about my age, so it's not like he's older, much older, but he's reverted to the flip phone. So for whatever that's worth, he didn't want to be connected anymore. But the goal of this of staying engaged is making sure that you're maintaining the relationships, because we all know that when we have repeat business, that's the key to success, right? Having the customers not just come in the door once, but come back for more. And so it's maintaining that relationship through this crisis, and so that they're ready for you on the other side when we're back to our new normal. The next piece is the suppliers, right? I mentioned that's a key piece to our business strategy. We rely on them a lot to help support us in delivering our service to our customers. So are they still in contact with you? If you haven't heard from them, it might be important for you to, especially if they're a critical part of your service and product offering, make sure that you connect with them. I know many of you have already done that, but there may be other ones that you're thinking about when you reopen that you have kind of put on the back burner to re-engage with them as we start to see some, or at least start the discussions about what getting out of this starts to look like. Understanding if they're still operating and if they're experiencing disruptions, and where you can help support them during these disruptions. I know we're all trying to do what we can to support our own businesses, but as we've stated and we hear messages, we're all in this together, right? So to the extent that we can support our suppliers during this time, that's an important way to establish and maintain that relationship. And then the last pillar to this is really taking care of your team. It's making sure that their head's in the ball game and that you are being mindful of their situation. I know I teach as mentioned, at UH downtown, and working with my students, while they don't work for me, but just making sure I understand what their situation is, making sure I'm hearing what they, about their experience, even if I can't offer them the solution that they want. Just making sure I'm lending a voice or lending an ear to their concerns. I mean, I think about it from an educational standpoint. I've got some students who are parents, and they're sharing, now they've been laid off from their job. They're having to homeschool their children, and they're still trying to finish their own education, and they have one computer. So how are they trying to share one computer screen to get through that? To progress their educations, right? And so it's making sure that before we start barking orders, it's asking the first question is, are you okay? Is your family okay? Is there anything I can do to support you to do that? And again, maybe there aren't any resources that you can hand them specifically, but a valuable resource will just be your time and listening to them, and then maybe pointing them to the right direction. As Tammy noted from the chamber, there's lots of resources that are available, and if we can, the chamber, if we can help support you and point you in the right direction, we want to do that, as well as for your employees. Also important is just to let them know what's going on with your business. I mean, they're here to help you, right? Your employees are signed up to help you deliver the products and services. They've been with you for a long time. If they're a small business, they're like family, right? And if you're a small business, some of these folks have been with you since you opened the doors. And so it's making sure that you are open and honest with them about the state of your business. And also, well, what's concerned though is making sure that you talk to them about their pay and benefits. What's going to happen? Are we going to stay open? Are we going to get furloughed? Are we going to get laid off? What's going to happen to my pay? Will I still receive my paychecks on time? These things may seem like kind of nominal things, but these are important, right? Especially when we see, I think as recently, now we know that in the last month or so, 22 million people have filed for unemployment. That's a staggering number. We haven't seen anything like that in our lifetimes. And so folks are growing concerned, and they can see if you're a restaurant or you're a barbershop, or if you're in oil and gas, the things are pretty dire, right? Customers aren't coming in the door. The demand for products isn't what it used to be since we're all shuttered inside. So making sure that you're talking to your employees about their well-being, making sure you're helping them understand what's happening with your business. I know one coffee shop, just for a quick example, that I go to, that I've gone to regularly and often work from. The coffee shop owner was very upfront, saying, "Hey, I can pay you guys for the next 2 pay periods, and we'll see what's going on from there." Obviously, there's been some support from some of the legislation that's been enacted that can help him bridge until a few more weeks until we get this all, hopefully get through this. And so, but he's upfront. This way they know and they can make decisions and they can plan accordingly. So, and the purpose of all this is, again, maintaining relationships with your employees and keeping focus. I mean, we will get through this. Things will look different, but you want your employees to be proud of the place they work, and you also want them speaking good about your business, even if you have to unfortunately lay them off. But while they're working with you, you want them to be focused. And so to the extent that you can help them minimize the distractions outside of work, that will be a key thing. All right, so how do we achieve these goals during this kind of period of uncertainty? Um, First thing is being open and honest. So telling your story, sharing what's happening to your business, to your customers, to you, helping them see what they don't see, especially if they're, your employees are focused on kind of micro tasks throughout the business. They may not see how this all links together. So helping them see what's happening, giving them the big picture of the state of your business is important. Yes, maybe again, if you're a coffee shop or a barber shop or a retailer, you're not seeing the customers come in the door. So what's happening and how are you engaging your customers and how can they help you engage in customer and what's happening to you? There was one pretty compelling video or message from a CEO that came out recently from the CEO of Marriott. It's a 6-minute video. You can find it on YouTube. I'd encourage you to watch it. But in the video, he's talking about the state of Marriott, and he's just recovering from cancer. So he doesn't have hair from when people had seen him previously, but he was there delivering a very powerful, personal, authentic message, and he was honest about the state of the business. We're going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to we're stopping all these priorities. So he was just honest, not just about the business, but also his personal situation. So, and to the extent that you can personalize it, that's going to help you gain credibility with all of your stakeholders. The next thing is being authentic and empathetic. It's just making sure that what you're telling them is that your employees, your customers, your suppliers know that you're being truthful, and that you first are acknowledging and thanking them as they support you during this crisis, but also listening to their concerns, right? And it's not just, sometimes it's just, you have nothing to say, and it's just offering them a smile and say, we're going to get through this, but really being sincere about that. That goes a long way in terms of building those relationships that you need to get through this and to be successful on the other end of this. Also, making sure that the information is timely and relevant. So share what information you have. I mean, you don't want to send people in a panic, but you want people to be informed about what's going on. When I say be the source of information, that's making sure that folks are finding out about what's happening to their business and their jobs from you versus the media. I know I've, in the past, even before all this, you've heard from, I'm sure, servers or bartenders who've showed up to work one day and the restaurant and bar that they were working in has been shuttered, and there's just a sign saying we're closed. So these folks have no clue about what's happening to their jobs, their employment, their next paycheck, and the benefits that they had, and are they still eligible for them? Those sorts of things. That's when I say be the source of information. That's what you want to try to maintain and avoid, burning any bridges with customers, employees. Just making sure there's a way to do that. And there's a variety of variety of methods to get that information out. Again, social media, your website, whatnot. Sticking to the facts and avoiding opinions, I would just note, I mean, we're with social media, it's great that we can get information out, but also there's a lot of information out there that is not factual, it's opinion-based, right? And so making sure that when you're talking to your employees about what's going on in terms of this lockdown that we're in, that again, it's fact-based. I mean, it's fair to predict, but that should be informed. And avoiding opinions, I mean, there's all sorts of political energy out there on both sides of the spectrum, and so making sure that you can kind of limit those discussions and focus on the task at hand and the facts, that's going to be helpful. I mean, calling COVID-19 China virus, the Wuhan virus or Chinese virus is not a winning strategy, at least when you're trying to keep your employees, your customers engaged. So something to think about. And then the last thing I would say is just making sure that you repeat the message. You may think, oh, I said it once, or I sent everyone an email, and they should know. Or I put it out on social media once, so my customers that they can come in the door and or they can order online. It's like you've got to, when you're communicating with folks, we all receive messages differently. Some of us are attuned to a social media post. Some of us like can react or respond more favorably to text messages or to phone calls or to emails, or any video conferences. There are a variety of mediums that you can communicate with folks, and it's free. And so just making sure that you understand that just because you said it once doesn't mean it translated through to whichever your intended audience is. And I can't underscore this kind of repeat the 7 times 7 ways enough. Again, because there's so much free stuff to do or to utilize in terms of social media, video conferencing. I mean, Zoom, you can get a free account, email account. Those are all ways that you can communicate easily and often with your stakeholders, whether that's your employees, whether that's your customers, or your suppliers. So make sure that you whatever messages you're trying to get out, that you do it often through a variety of mediums. All right. So I've talked for the better half of like this first part, almost a half an hour here. But I really, I think there's some value, and I was telling my students this the other day, because we've transitioned to online class or online learning when we were all in the classroom, and that has been a challenge, not a challenge, but in the past I could just stand in front of a student and I could get a reaction and they would respond. Now I've got to call on people directly, which I don't normally like to do. And not everyone's always inclined to speak out in a group setting. So what I want to do is have you guys talk to one another. And maybe this is a bit of therapeutic counseling for you guys. Or not, but hopefully, like I said at the beginning, this is an opportunity for you to kind of just reset and ask folks what they're doing. And so what I want to do is have you guys break into groups, and we're going to have 3 groups that you're going to break in. And so we'll send you into, Maureen will help to send you guys into a virtual meeting shortly, or a virtual breakout room. And each of the groups, and I'll pop in the group to tell you what you guys will be talking about. But one group will talk about customers. What's the biggest obstacle you have to engaging customers as we're all asked to stay at home? So what's that biggest obstacle? Obviously, it's they can't come into, if you're a bar, or restaurant, or barber shop, they can't come into your restaurant. But let's talk bigger. I mean, we know that's a given. So what else are there ways to do it? Maybe you guys, this group can explore what's the best practice. And so as you guys are all talking, identify a success story in maintaining customer relationships. Similar discussion on suppliers. What's been your greatest challenge in working with your suppliers or vendors? And then I'd like you guys to share a success story. So this is not just a session to vent, but also like to identify solutions. And the last group will talk about some of the greatest issues your employees are facing and what you guys have done to help them through this. And so want to identify a success story that's been helpful in maintaining employee engagement. So we'll break off. You guys will have 15 minutes to do introductions, to say who you are, what you do, and then talk in the context of the bucket or the topic that you're assigned. Okay, and then 5 minutes to identify a success story, and then we'll regroup. Each group, I'd like to have one person summarize just kind of a success story for us. So we'll all come. So you guys will go into a breakout room for 20 minutes, 15 of those minutes. You'll discuss, again, introduce yourselves, share your stories, and then you spend some time figuring out which is the best story you want to tell. And then we'll come back and regroup, and one speaker from each group will share with us what you guys discussed. Sound good? All right. So Maureen, will you help me in getting, and I will give up control, and if you'll help assign everyone to a room, that would be great. And trying to prioritize things. It sounds like you had a good win with your you said Square, is that
Yeah,
the
Square.
provider? Yeah, so that's good. And then I mean, and that's good, right? I mean, so you had to look at all the different assets in terms of where money had to go, and where you could work with suppliers that worked and where you couldn't. I mean, then you allocate resources accordingly. So yeah, I mean, we're in unprecedented times, and I'm glad that was a somewhat of a good news story in terms of getting one piece of that supply equation to work in your favor.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for sharing. All right. Do we want to go to the customers group? So group one. I think they had wrapped up that session pretty quickly. So
yeah, this is Hadi New. I'm with New York Life, and some of the key points that you picked up in your presentation, we went into proactive mode as a company, and we have been being the source of resources is so important because small business owners and individuals don't know where to go, and especially understanding some of the different legislations that's coming out and how it can help small businesses. And so we are providing resources and venues to be the voice of calm, and this too shall pass, and how we can navigate these really unprecedented times amongst all the angst and panic that's being roiled up in the media. You really have to vet out how it pertains to your particular business. Where are the resources? Who can you talk to? And so we were, Katrina and I, when we were speaking, and please jump in, Katrina, we were talking about what we've been doing and how we've been working with our customers during these times.
that's good. And was there anything, I mean, I know there's a lot of information that you guys have had to put out because it's been a kind of a drip of information, and then you try to, and even as information comes out, there's still the fine details that are needed to fill in the blanks. I mean, is there anything in particular that you guys have done to get information out to the right folks?
Absolutely. We've come out with a particular brochure. It's about 8 pages talking about the various times in our history that we have navigated through the Great Depression, the financial disasters of the 80s, late 80s, the Civil War, the World War I, World War II, and how we've coped with that, and the Spanish flu, even though it didn't, like in your presentation, didn't originate in Spain, that's what they called it. And there were more, and so we're giving some relevance to that. We're also hosting, as I said, we're hosting educational workshops to guide people through this. Where can they go? And it is not, these are experts we're calling in to help business owners, and it's also a quick Q&A. So we have some information geared towards each individual type of customer, whether or not it's a small business owner or an individual. So there's so much information out there. We try to make it specific for who we're talking to.
Sure. Well, that's great. Again, I mean, that's a tough job, right? Trying to distill the information into digestible bites, but that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, and so to our final group, the employees. What are some of the issues that your employees have been coping with, and what are some success stories, or a success story that you guys can share that helping maintain employee engagement?
I'm not sure if that was our group, but we did talk about this. This is Christina Shackelford. I'm with Community Impact Newspaper. And I'll just briefly say that my employees are obviously, we have a variety of different, obviously people. We have graphic designers as well as account executives and reporters, but we're being faced with, inundated with a lot of news and information that we need to take in and then put out in our reports digitally and in our publications. So our reporters have been really overwhelmed, and a lot of the news is sad and depressing. And so, and then they're dealing with it in their personal lives too. So, and then not having the outlet to see people, talk to people, a lot of them might, live alone. So we've been able to do a few things throughout the week where I host trivias, or we do scavenger hunts, or we do just fun things together, so that we can just give them a break and just, just have some fun, because it can be overwhelming and it can just be very just depressing for some of them. So that's been really great for us. And I know that they've enjoyed that downtime and just giving their mind a mental break. We've also encouraged, getting outside, and we've done calls where we all go on walks together. So there's just a lot of different things that we're trying to do to get them out of, work mode for a little bit and get some relief.
Sure. Well, that's great. Great. Yeah, I've heard, I know someone else in your group was talking about let's make a deal. I don't consider the podcast hosts I work with employees, but, we're all kind of collaborating together, but, we're all spending this isolated, right? And so one thing we've done is once a week we have a happy hour, and we've started to put that just because we are a medium that shares, we've got a listener base, so we put that on Facebook Live as well, so folks can interact with us. And so it's not just us, but it's also our listeners. And so to your point, it's a way to keep people's mind. If you're fortunate enough to work from home, you're doing that most of the time, and you can't connect, and you're missing that social interaction from being in the office. And so this is a way to interact. So I think that's great. Going on walks together. Virtual happy hours. Let's make a deal. Those are great examples. Anyone else have a
Yes.
success story on either one of these groups? Okay.
Yes. This is Tony with Dr. Mitchmore's office.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is called teledentistry. That's one thing that we've started doing with our patients. We have seen a few emergencies. Got a lot of people scheduled for, got a little list going for when we are able to see patients again. So we're doing a lot. Really, the teledentistry is really helping. Also, with our patients that are in the clear aligners, we're able to mail out their additional aligners to keep them on track with their dentistry.
That's great. I mean, there's a lot of power in kind of the virtual setting that, I think has been on the back burners for many of us. It's like, oh yeah, I'll get to digital, I'll get to online, commerce and those sorts of things, or expanding social media. But, as we're shuttered in, I mean, we've got no choice but to either sit at home or explore a few different options. And so that teledentistry is great. That's a great example of keeping customers engaged.
Tony, I've got a question for you. This is Christopher. I've worked with doctors' offices for many years as well before getting into nightlife. Are you guys planning on extending your hours when things open back up, or being open on an additional day to help meet the demand until it tapers off?
No, not at the moment. I think we killed Dr. Mitchmore. We're not ready for him to retire just yet.
I can completely understand.
That's great. No, I think I appreciate you guys sharing that. Again, the online facet is very interesting. I mean, I even think, as in the nightlife, right? I mean, so one thing I've seen since we're on an LGBT Chamber of Commerce discussion, you've seen a lot of local drag queens or drag queens across. I mean, they put their shows online, right? And so they're trying to earn money. I mean, I've talked with one client for EconomiWorks about who's a chef, and so he does catering events, and so about transitioning some marketing elements to a YouTube channel. So he's teaching, because he can't serve folks, he's teaching them how to cook, right? And so via YouTube channel. So could you make drinks online via YouTube or an Instagram Live? And so those are ways, like I said, to keep customers engaged, to utilize your employees in a different way, and really just kind of keep your brand out there as you're trying to navigate through this. So love the example. So thank you guys for sharing. All right. So just a few more things before we wrap up. It comes back to, again, recognizing we've got a lot of stakeholders in this, but if we focus on satisfying our customers, our suppliers, our employees, that's going to get us through this. And even if we're in a fortunate situation where we have to shutter the doors and lay folks off or stop agreements with suppliers, and it is important that we do that in a way that's respectful to folks, because much like we want to receive information from whether it's government officials or whether it's our landlords that we're working with to try to give us some leeway on rent, it's important that that we treat people with dignity and respect, and that we're open and honest with them, that we're listening to them. We're not just yelling or barking orders at them, that we are taking the time to thank them for whatever, whether it's employees for working extra hours or for being patient as we kind of get through this, with suppliers for giving us some leniency, or customers for continuing to support us even though we are offering a different level of service. It's important to offer that thanks, and then just to give information as soon as you have it. You don't want to just spew out information and that it's not coherent. But as we were talking about with all the disseminating information, especially some of the regulatory things that are coming out, trying to take that information and quickly distill it into something that your customers or your employees can use, and making sure that it's relevant to them. And lastly, I would say just make sure you're repeating the message. There are a variety of ways to get the message out. I mean, gone are the days when we're just doing it at the typewriter and memos. We have social media, we have video conferencing, we have email, there's a text messaging. There's a variety of ways that we can keep that message going and make sure that we are maintaining the relationships with our employees, our customers, and our suppliers, so that again that we're through this when that they're with us when we get through all this. So with that, I leave it to any other discussion or questions that you guys have on this topic.
Okay.
Well, and if no questions, then I would say, Tammy, thank you guys for having me join the discussion. I think as we were talking about when we set this up, I think it's timely. I think a lot of folks have questions. And again, my purpose here was just to kind of use this moment for us to pause and reflect and to brainstorm some ideas, and just to keep focused that we're talking about people in the communication channel, and that we need to make sure we're treating them with dignity and respect so that they can help us through this. And so thank you everyone who shared your ideas. I'm not sure if you knew you were signing up for some breakout discussions and active participation, but we appreciate the dialogue you guys all had.
Well, Thomas, I want to say thank you so much on behalf of the Chamber. We really, really not only appreciate you. This is, of course, as I shared, the second webinar that you've done for us, but you were one of the first people to step up and ask how can I help, and how can I help the Chamber and our members? So we very much appreciate that. And of course, sharing your insight, such a timely topic. As I mentioned to everyone, the recording and presentation will be sent out, so keep an eye out for that. If you've got any questions, you can contact Thomas. We'll include his contact information as well in that. And I want to say thank you very much for joining us today, and wishing everyone a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.